everybody who may be watching. I'm just gonna get right into it. Currently in Battlerite, there is what I would consider a huge problem in the gameplay, mainly around certain sports that act too much like a damage dealer to heal and disable the amounts that they do. And basically talking about Paloma and Pearl. I haven't had too much trouble with Older because I think he's balanced well enough that his heal isn't significant enough for the awesome utility to be too much. So I think for some background, I play a lot of Ashka. I'm right grade 12. I'm not that good. I like to think I'm good though. And basically, I think the biggest fender, at least in 2v2s, which is all I play, I don't really like 3v3s, too much chaos, in my opinion. Pearl absolutely destroys games. Like, two even teams going into it. There's so many times when I'll have like a mirror match where it'll be like Ashka versus Ashka, then like Paloma versus Pearl, which actually that's probably favored for Paloma. But let's just like, since there's no draft, you can end up with teams like Bako versus Pearl, which is a little better because Bako I think is a little overtuned right now as well. But I don't have problems with him personally, so I'm not going to be talking about it. But like, I'll have like a Shifu or a Freya or a Croak, some melee champion, and it feels so dog shit, like so horrible to play against Pearl. Like, it actually is cancer. So I'm just gonna kind of like go over why it feels like cancer. Be nice if I could see all the battle rights right now, because there's some that I want to talk about. Specifically one. God damn, I hate how smug the fucker is as well. But the main thing is that Pearl does way too much damage for how much utility and healing she brings. I think it's like this, so supports aren't boring. But where you try to make supports not boring, I think Stunlock has made them way overpowered. Like, at least in 2v2s, they're so overtuned, where she does, on just her left click alone, not looking at any other abilities, 0.4 cast time, 0.4 cooldown, she does half DPS as Ashka, and she does half DPS as Ashka, probably a little less if you get your Ignite off. And Paloma does 0.3, she does, let's just do the math right now, 10 over 12, she does 83% of Ashka's damage just in left clicks. Just in left clicks, not talking about Soulbind or Spirit Link or anything like that. So if they're just right clicking, Ashka wins, or if they're just left clicking, Ashka wins. But that's not the problem. It's not the problem with their left clicks being too similar. That is a part of it, but it's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is everything else about her kit. Like, if you look at Ashka like looks godly in ranged 1v1s, right? He's got firewall that should, like, you put up the firewall and then you can play like super aggressively, like right on top of the firewall, and they have to just run away basically, because you'll be able to completely just out trade them because none of their shit will hit. And then if they try to counter, you can flame strike and stun them. And I mean, Molten Fist isn't that good in the ranged 1v1. I mean, you can dodge like a projectile with the Molten Fist with the iframes, but that's about it. Firestorm is okay. If they try to run away, you can sometimes get some poke damage. Searing Flight, I mean, it is what it is. You get a shield off of it, so it's okay. Procs Ignite with the first thing. I mean, these are nice. The Pure Fire makes you win any 1v1 if they're just like left clicking you. And Molten Change isn't good on a range, but like, he looks godly in 1v1s, right? And two evenly skilled players, he should probably win 1v1s with ranged people. Like, he should probably win a 1v1 versus Jade, depending on how the Jade uses her movement skills. But he should at least be on even footing with ranged damage dealers and how they 1v1s. But as Pearl, against Pearl, I constantly find myself being out-traded by her. So, when you play against a Pearl, she has what is basically your R ability that costs 1 EX in a regular spell. Like Bubble Barrier is just 4-second duration, 10-second cooldown, a little bit of cast time, and it basically does what this does. And I think that's a bit insane. Where I think that's fine because she's a support though. And that's like Ashka doing as much damage as he does. Firewall is kind of a little, like, it's just like very strong on him because of how much damage he does. And Bubble Barrier would be fine as a regular spell if not for how much damage Pearl does. I constantly find myself fighting these Pearls and they put up a Bubble Barrier and they just like walk around it. Like they walk around it and I either have to use a movement spell to try to jump over the Bubble Barrier and like continue the fight, in which case I've kind of just fucked myself entirely, because if I do that in a 2v2, I'm basically saying I'm so confident that I'll be able to trade correctly here that I won't ever need to run away for 9 seconds. And that's so long. And on top of that, she also has a counter, which I don't understand why she has a counter really, that heals her. And this lets her win trades even harder. And she also has the Battle Right, where if her teammate is like dog shit and she has to carry by herself, like her teammate's like 2 ranks below her and she's got to carry by herself, she's like, okay, I gotta do this with me. I have to win these 1v1s against this Ashka, who would otherwise destroy me. She gets the Tidal Wave Battle Right that creates a Bubble Barrier when she Qs, when she gets the counter. And that is actually so stupid. Like, there's so many times where I throw a projectile, and in the time it takes for the projectile that would hit her, she presses Tidal Wave, she heals, wins the trade automatically, and the bubble spawns around her, and she's right in the center, and I am just like, well, I guess I don't fight her now. I try to switch targets, and that's stupid. I mean, why? Why does she have 2 of these? I mean, she'd get a total of 3. But why does she have them? Considering her stupid damage, why does she get that? She gets so much escape. Like, Ashka, I would consider probably the most mobile champion in the game, barring maybe Croak, with how far he gets with Searing Flight and the speed boost on Blaze. If you take the correct battle rate level 1, I'd say correct, because I think there's only really one that you can consider there. But, so that's fine. I mean, she's still like, she's basically what I'm trying to get at here is she wins 1v1s by herself. She has Dive, which lets her escape a bit, does a little bit of damage. That's not that big of a deal. The big deal is she gets the Dive Charge thing, which lets her do 22 additional damage. Or not additional, does 22 instead of 14, which is like a lot. That's like 2 Ashka left clicks. And 1 left click, so that completely like negates the whole thing about her doing half as much DPS. And it silences for 1.2 seconds. So that silences for 3 Ashka left clicks. So in the time that I could left click her 3 times, she gets to left click me twice. Now, probably it's going to be more like once, but that makes her win trades, right? So her silence combined with this, and this lets her win trades. She wins trades in 1v1s as a support, self-proclaimed support champion. And it feels so bad when it happens, but that's not the worst part. Like, if this was her and her right click was some other bullshit, like a ranged damage dealer, a slam, I don't really care. Snipe probably would be too broken. But if it was anything besides this heal, it'd be fine. I think you could still classify as a support. She'd be, albeit an aggressive one, and she'd be a fine champion. But with their heal, everything just gets like so stupid and broken out of proportion. Bubble shield, I mean, it plays a part. It definitely does. Where I've ignited her, and then she bubble shields, and then I just have to stop fighting her. It's like get out of jail free card that costs an X, and that's fine. Because, I mean, a lot of champions have that. I have it in Molten Chains. I have it in Flame Wall, where I force people to run away. Croak has it in Deceit, not Sludge Spit. Freya, I'm not really sure about Freya. I'm not sure too much. I guess her Incapacitate, she has it in that. Paloma's get out of jail free cards on the other side, so I mean, she doesn't need one on that. But the big things are heal. So right, with all that damage I just explained and her 1v1 potential, that's a fine champion. She wins 1v1s and that's her thing. She's a support, that is some utility, she can protect her team with barriers, and she can give her shields. I mean, she silences the enemy. That sounds like a pretty sick support. It's more in line with Older, right? Older does all this utility, all this like stuff, and he's good. He focuses on messing with the enemy team rather than like healing his own. And I really like that type of support playstyle, right? Where you feel more like a champion doing things and just like a heal bitch like in WoW or something. So yeah, but with the heal, it just makes the game ridiculous. Like, I'm gonna go to a replay that actually tilted me and made me want to do this in the first place. I'm pretty much rambling at this point, but I don't know. I mean, if it doesn't convince anyone else, I mean, at least it makes me feel better about myself that I'm actually trying to do something about it and try to voice my opinion. I'm gonna go look at this replay that I just played 39 minutes ago before I started making this huge Reddit post that I was gonna do. But I found the text was like way too long to watch. So there's a big thing here. The first round we like absolutely smashed them. I don't know. So what happened here is that like, see how the she went up? That was like a really E. But see how she just won that 1v1? I'm not sure if that's due to bad play, and then she heals, and then she wins the 1v1, right? But how we win here is like Ashka ends up being a retard, and he splits up too far from her healer. And then no matter how good the healer is, it doesn't matter. Yeah, right here. So Ashka splits up, and Ashka like gets super punished for it. Wait. Yeah. So I win this 1v1. Ashka can't really do anything. He gets like smashed against the wall. Well, the best player in the game doesn't help her Ashka live here, right? I mean, she's trying to heal, but she's just out of range. So that's what that is. But there's this, you might see. That's a short round. That's a short round. That's a medium round. But this is the round that actually triggered me. Like, it just made it. It just like brought all my hatred of her to light. Like, watch this. So, starts off normally. The Ashka, for some reason, uses his spacebar super aggressively. And here, I'm trying to 1v1 her because she's a bit like isolated. Just throwing in left clicks, trying to deal with the Ashka who's going around. Trying to stun the Ashka, just be a general nuisance. Orb control, very important. Just general good stuff. In here, I'm like able to get her by herself, right? For a bit at least. And it just looks like we're doing great. Like, we're absolutely destroying them. We have way more HP than them, 75% to like 60%. But like, you keep seeing them go down below 60%, then immediately getting healed back up. And it just becomes this like dirty war of attrition where I feel like we lost just because they had a healer and we didn't. And it just feels so bad. Like, see how we keep getting them like below 60 and then healed like directly back up to 60 repeatedly? I'm just watching it like HP bars right now. Like we're constantly separating them, like trying to do what we can to. We're getting orbs, like we're doing such good stuff, and the game just lasts so long. We're not really like letting them off to heal and stuff. We're just sometimes we're getting the orb and just trying to play objectives a bit. But as the game just drags on and on and on, it just gets like evident that like no matter how well I played here, I'm missing like some skill shots and stuff. But no matter how well I played here, just the fact that she can like never die. I'm kind of salty that I missed that. Both missed their ultis there, and that's probably why we lost the round in the end. But I mean, Ashka missed his ulti as well. I get silenced. I dodge her ult. I mean, but so what turned off of us having like a 30% lead on them has now become a 15% deficit, and even still watching from my perspective, I can't believe it happened. Like I'm just going hard on her, doing so much damage, and then she gets away for 30 seconds, and I can't just like stay in on Ashka when he's right there, and it just becomes a stupid fucking thing where look how close the sudden death came in before one person even died. This is what like the playstyle that Pearl represents. So at this point I had no chance at all. I mean, I could have like, if I got my ulti maybe. Oh no, I did get my ulti. It's just stupid. And I lose because there's not much I can do. And this is how I feel like this is where Pearl becomes a cancer. Let's see if I can. Is it not going to show me? Okay, here we go. And look at these stats. These are the stats that triggered me. After the game, I was like, okay, we lost. Let's look at things. Like, why did I lose? I was like, so I look at my damage, I look at my Shifu, and Shifu, like, I mean, he didn't play that well. He had, like, really high protection. Don't really know what from. But Shifu got, like, messed up a bit. But then, like, I'm like, okay, we're doing some good stuff over here. I'm doing the most damage in the game. That makes me feel good. And I look over here and I'm like, what the fuck? She has 1,300 points. She has, how much more does she have than her opponent? She has 600 more points than her teammate. Well, so what she's doing? She's healing for insane amounts, right? 512 on healing wave, 116 tidal wave, only 56 on bubble shield. She can probably be a little better. But so she's healing 116 on tidal wave alone. And then 102 on the bubble from Tidal Shield, probably. And she has the most disables, too, because, I mean, why not? She's got the silence, the jaws, tidal wave, volatile water, all that stuff. And then, these would be perfect stats. I mean, you're allowed to have these stats on a support, right? Everyone can agree with that. You're allowed to heal for 700 in a match. You're allowed to do lots of disables. But the problem comes is when she also does 500 damage. When she also does 500 damage, there's a problem somewhere in the game where she does only 60 less than her main damage dealer, and she's just carrying the game by herself. Like, it's just so tilting that this can happen, where a single healer just single-handedly carries games. Like, if you, like, I don't know what to do. Like, against Paloma, I understand what to do. I get in the game, I'm like, okay, I know Paloma's absolutely useless. I mean, just get her away from her from her healer, damage dealer, or not healer, her other damage dealer. If I can just split them up, I'll win the game. It's super easy. Just split them up and you win the game. And it's easy to say that, right? But it's hard to do. It's hard to split them up and just win the game like that. But the problem with Pearl is that you split her up and she still wins the 1v1. That you find them grouped and she still wins the 2v2 because of her heals and her bubble shield and all that bullshit. And the only way to play against her is to not play against her at all. You have to split them up and then go after the damage dealer. And I mean, that's just stupid. Like, I mean, you have to wait for them to misplay in order for you to actually, like, play. Otherwise, you're just, like, kind of screwed. Because any chip damage gets healed from her right click. And then she bubbles to stop chip damage. And then she has an escape herself if you try to go on her. It's just stupid. It's so tilting. I don't even want to play the next game because at this point I was so tilted I just let the fucking Austria like beat the shit out of me. Like, I was typing in all chat and stuff, being a fucking flamer gamer, spacing in, eating for no reason, like letting him like beat the absolute shit out of me. It's the worst trade of my life, but at this point I was just like so tilted and I just want the game to be over because it just feels so bad playing against her. Where you get Power of the Depth and Sea Bubble, and it triggers me. It's just like the Sea Bubble gets triggered when the counter happens. It's so tilting when you know you could have won if there had been a draft. Like, if you could have seen that she was picking Pearl and being like, okay, we have to play Paloma or else we'll lose. Or we have to play Bako because Bako can do some good 1v1 stuff. Because Bako can stop, he has good counterplay to counters because Bako is strong. But if my handsome model friend over here wants to play Shifu, who I would say is probably worse than Bako and Paloma, how am I as an Ashka like supposed to like win the game at that point? Like, for a competitive game to have no draft at all with champions that have this high power disparity where Pearl completely dwarfs at the overall score at the end, where Paloma it's me being a flamer game in all chat, let's not look at that. But oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to see that after score screen. Okay. Like, Paloma completely dwarfs my guy here, right? Paloma does more damage, more protection, more disables. Every aspect is better than my friend over here. And then she also only does on average 30 damage less than her damage dealer. Has more disables than him. And with this much protection, it's too much. She needs to be dialed back in one aspect, or the game just becomes like horrible, really. Like, it felt so bad losing this one because in my opinion I felt like I couldn't really do anything to, like, every single round besides the last one where I was just tilted off the face of the earth, I did the most damage and I felt like I was doing stuff. But the Paloma is like, so basically in effect she did the same damage as me. Holy fuck, I didn't even know. But so round 2, she basically negated all the damage I did, besides like 50 of it, 60 of it, with her protection, right? So that's fine without her doing 272 damage as well. So she had like double the impact in the game than I had, even though I played well. In the first one, I did 358 damage, and she had 312 protection. And that's fine, except for the fact that she does 248 damage as well. So she has double the impact of me or Shifu. Round 3 is even worse. I did 776 damage, still not enough. She like completely negates all the damage I do, and she still puts forth 500 damage. And it's like every single game it's like this. And I mean, besides the last one where I was tilted, but when it happens every single game where she's constantly getting the same amount of damage as her damage dealer and protecting for the same amount of damage as I'm dealing, it gets to a point where something has to change, right? Like, you start, like, there is less and less counterplay against her because she is so good. Like, she's a silence. Her bubble disrupts people. Her tidal wave throws you off. It can counter the first attack of your Ashka Ignite after your leap. Her bubble shield is insane. Her ulti does more damage than my ulti to some extent, more burst damage at least. But the damage over time I ended up doing a little more. Does the same damage, I think, as his ulti? No, a little less. It's just, like, at some point you have to, like, say stop. And I think that has to be, like, now. Not at the end of October, right? Because that's when they said that the updates were going to go live or whatever, at the end of October. But it's too long. It's too long. Like, I don't want to play 2v2s right now. I don't even want to play 3v3s, to be honest, because I don't like 3v3s. With Pearl in the game the way she is, where she single-handedly carries games. And then I look at the top of the subreddit, and I'm not seeing anyone talking about it, really. I see some people, and they're saying, oh, you just have to get better, you just have to play better. But how do you play better against somebody whose, like, entire kit is around stopping you from playing better, with the silence, with the heal, with the dive is just an escape, with the counter, with the bubble. It's all about counterplaying the enemy champions just with a heal on it. And I don't understand what to do. As older, I know what to do. When I play against older, I say, well, I know he's gonna like do a decent bit of damage. Just left clicks, do a bit if he weaves them correctly. His escape is okay. I mean, Time Bender can fuck up Jade real hard. Quicksand, if he gets the root, is pretty cancer. But I understand what to do against him, right? You fight him, and once he's used all of his CDs, you just kind of like go hard on him and he dies because he's only one escape in Time Bender, and it's just not enough with how much more mobility there is in the game. But with her, she uses her dive to get away, you jump after her. She uses her bubble to put distance in you, you Molten Fist through the bubble, right? And at this point you have no more CC, or no more escape, and then as your first left click's coming through, she tidal waves it. And then what do? I don't know. Apparently someone has to tell me, I don't know what you do. Like, it feels so bad. Like, an example fight with Older is like, Older's left clicking, he's left clicking, he's just trying to like keep you away, and then you go on him. So like you can initiate first. That's also the big thing is Older. You can initiate first because he only has one escape. So like you can get him. So if you initiate on him and he's like space bars over the wall, you can kind of like just catch up to him with Molten Fist or stun him at the end point because it's really obvious where it's gonna lead. And so you catch him, and then you see he plays Time Bender, or what's it called, Time Bender? Time Bender, you accidentally throw a projectile at him, he throws it back, whatever, that's fine. And then he can't do anything for 10 seconds, and you just beat the shit out of him. And his heal is 14 HP at 0.1 cast time, but you only get 3 charges of it, and you only get 3 charges of it. So, oops, no. Yeah, you only get 3 charges of it at 5 seconds of charge. It just isn't a lot. Like, I see older games with my friend who I consider to be a decent older. Let's see if I can find one. I'm not gonna like look at everything, just at older. Like, I mean, I could look at this guy, but I think okay, he was decent. Let me just look at his endgame stats. So, older is a healer compared to her. So I think older is good for a lot of the same reasons she's good. She does similar damage. I mean, but okay, let's look at round 1. So he's 100 damage down, only 152 protection. We lost that one, I think. We lost the first round. Round 2, he does about the same damage as me. He has protection and he has disables. The big thing is his like, I don't know, it just feels like he just does less of it. He's the same way as her, but he's just like not as good. I mean, this round he apparently played like a god. But it's like, so this is like a long round where like lots of score was built up. But he doesn't have 1300 score. He doesn't have 756 protection. He doesn't have 550 damage. He doesn't have 130 disable. Like, he does similar things to her, but just in a dialed back tone. And that's what you have to do. You have to make trade-offs. So if you can do everything, you can deal damage, you can do disables, you can protect people, you have to dial everything back. Because if everything is as strong as if you do as much damage as Jade and have as much escape as Ashka and the you can I guess damage like also like everybody who's melee, but if you're the best at escaping, you do the most damage, you heal the most, you have great 1v1, you have great team fighting. It's too much. It's too much. And I find myself being overwhelmed constantly, game after game. I don't have a healer on my team, and they have Pearl and I lose. And happened so many times, I'm actually just like sick of the game at this point. Like, I want to queue up right now, but I feel like I'll just get a Pearl and I'll tilt off the face of the earth again. Like, this is like a similar mirror match where I just got dicked because she's better. Like, she's just a better champion. See, like this is a winning game, like a winning game versus Bako and a healer, and it's easy. It's not easy, but it's doable. Like, it's a hard matchup, and you feel like it's like a little war of attrition, but you can do it, right? Like, it's doable because you have utility to deal with Paloma, because Paloma can't heal anybody if she is separated from her healer or from her damage dealer. So there's counterplay. But see, like they can win this matchup because they have counterplay against Paloma. But I'm looking for. Oh, I won that one. But I think the reason why I won this one is less of Pearl being good than Taya just being really bad at the moment. Like, I'm looking for any games where I just destroy. I guess that doesn't happen that often. But see, I just lose these. Like, these are games I just lose against Pearl with no healer. Or I have a healer. I don't know why I lose that one. It's just Pearl. I feel like Pearl's so strong in 2v2. Kind of getting a little weird at the end here. But ignore the last, like, 5, like, to me looking at my match history. It's just, it just feels so bad to play against, right? And you have to like balance how fun a champion is to play to how cancer they are to play against. Because, I mean, it'd be really fun to play against a champion that just one-shots everybody, and as soon as you get within 300 feet of them, you just insta-kill the enemies. But that it'd feel bad to play against, and I think she's gotten too much to the ladder. She feels way too bad to play against. Where her and Paloma get the most shit, plus Bako. But I think Bako has more counterplay against him, because the big thing with Bako is he gets real slow with his bulwark and stuff. Like, you can play against him. I don't know. I don't have problems with Bako, so it's hard for me to explain what potential problems could be with them. So I'm not gonna try. But the problem with Pearl is that she's way too good at 1v1, and she's way too good at team fighting, and she's way too good at the war of attrition. The problem with Paloma is she's way too good at the war of attrition, and when people try to do the war of attrition strategy against her, they end up losing. And if you just try to do those team fights against her, it feels bad. So you don't do those team fights against her, you split her up, and if you can't split her up, then you lose the game. But I think that's the problem is you weren't able to split her up, not that she's too good. And I'm just gonna stop it here because I'm just rambling now. But I hope somebody sees this and they understand from a perspective of me how bad it is to play against this. It feels so bad. I'm trying to find a better word for it, but I don't know one. Because I play it, and it just, it doesn't make me want to play more. And, I mean, at the end of the day, it's fun versus competitive integrity. And I'm not sure on the competitive side how bad Pearl really is, but I know that she's actual cancer to play against. Oh, rip, I missed that guy. And that's just the end. Like, that's my statement. My final, closing statement is Pearl is cancer and something needs to change.